and welcome to the class of business study. So students, today we will continue with chapter 7, that is directing. This is part 2nd, that is second video of chapter directing. Now these are the topics which we have left, that is today we will do in this class. It is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That means it was Maslow's theory of the hierarchy needs, and Maslow's need hierarchy is considered to be fundamental to the understanding of motivation and plays an important role in motivation. That means during the process of motivation to the employees, Maslow's this theory is of a great appeal. People have a wide range of needs like psychology. That means it is according to Maslow, he said that there are wide range of needs like physiological needs, social needs, safety needs, esteem needs and self-actualization. Esteem means self-respect, and self-actualization needs which motivate the employees to work. That means it was according to Maslow that these are some kind of needs of the employees which needs to be fulfilled by the employers. So for the better work, better hard work and for better motivation. The managers must understand the needs and wants of the people. That means the manager must understand the needs and wants of all his employees according to fulfill these kind of needs in order to motivate them and improve their performance. That means to improve the performance of the employees, the employer or the manager must understand these kind of needs of the employees. For the satisfaction of these needs, manager must offer different incentives. That means for fulfilling the needs of employees for all these needs, that is which is given here. So he must fulfill the incentives. Now here incentives means can be monetary incentive and non-monetary incentive. When we say monetary incentive means it is in the form of money, and non-monetary incentive can be rewards or any kind of appreciation for the better work, or can be given some certificate for better or appreciating for the work. So it can be. Now needs can be, when we say needs, it can be of individual needs or it can be organizational needs. Now we will focus on the examples of needs, that is individual needs, and management can satisfy these needs. These are the organizational needs which needs to be fulfilled. So the first criteria is basic physiological needs. When we say physiological needs according to Maslow's theory, these needs can be basic in the hierarchy and corresponds in primary needs. Now physiological needs means your physical needs. It can be hunger, thirst, shelter, sleep. Okay, so these are some of the physical needs of any employee. When we talk about organizational physiological needs, it can be offer monetary incentive, example good salary or wages, and comfortable working condition to their employees. That is from the part of physiological need of an employee, that is individual, it can be hunger, thirst, shelter and good sleep. Whereas according to organizational needs which they need to fulfill for their employees, it can be giving them better salary and wages, that is competitive salary and wages, and comfortable working condition and atmosphere must be given. Second is safety or security needs. So when we talk about safety and security of an individual employee, it is security and protection from physical and emotional harms, stability of income, etc. But when it comes to management, it means offers job security, pension and insurance to their employees. That means from the behalf of organization, the safety or security needs which they need to fulfill for their employees, it is in order of giving them job security, pensions and fulfilling their needs of insurance, etc. Now next need is affiliation or belonging needs. When we say belonging needs means the employees must be given a feeling that they are also part of the office or part of the firm or part of the enterprises wherever they are working. So it is a belonging needs. A good relation or good communication must be maintained between the management and the employees. So when we say this kind of needs, it refers to affection, sense of belongingness, acceptance and friendship. These are individuals' needs. When it comes to management, the firm can encourage the team building, that is team spirit or teamwork, and permit the workers to opportunity to interact socially and so develop cordial relation, that is a better relation, healthy and friendly relations with their colleagues and with their superiors. So this is in the part of management only, that they need to create such kind of cordial relation between managers in the firm, between manager and the subordinates. Now fourth is esteem needs. Esteem is self-respect. Okay, so include factors such as self-respect, autonomy status, recognition and attention. These are individuals behalf of. When we talk about organizational needs, It says recognizing good performance, providing opportunity for employees to feel a sense of accomplishment or achievement for whatever work they are doing, providing important job titles, etc. That is, basically it means providing better chances and opportunities to work to the workers or to the employees for their better growth, appreciating their work time to time. So these are self-esteem needs which we need to fulfill, that is managers must need to fulfill for their employees. Now last is self-actualization needs. Now self-actualization means trying to understand one's, okay, the drive to become what one is capable of, that means knowing about their ability, knowing about their capacity. These needs include growth, self-fulfillment and achievement of the goals or aims which are laid by the organization. When we talk about organizational needs or management, it offers, that means management or manager must offer better or good freedom to the workers, to the employees, so that they can create, so they can do work with their own creativity, with their own skill and specialization what they have, providing them with opportunity to learn, that means opportunity to learn while doing the work, providing them training time to time, and encouraging creativity leading to achievement of their goals, achievement of individual to organizational goals. Now next is financial and non-financial incentive which we have talked about, that is monetary and non-monetary incentives which must be given by the management to their employees, which are used to motivate people to improve their performance. Now these are some financial incentives or monetary incentives directly in money form, that means these monetary incentives are provided to the employees for or in the form of money only, or measurable in monetary terms, or it can be measured in the terms of money, okay. First is pay and allowances, that means whatever payment or whatever wages and salaries they have been assigned so far, it is in the form of financial incentive or monetary incentive. Productivity linked incentive schemes, that means if they increase they must be encouraged well, that if they increase the productivity they will be paid well, okay. So productivity must be linked with incentives, that is monetary incentives in terms of hike in salary, increments, promotions and all such things. Then third is bonus, profit sharing ratio. So these all are the financial incentives or monetary form of incentive which are provided by the management to their employees for good work, better efficiencies. Then co-partnership or stock options, retirement benefits, prerequisites. So these are some of the monetary incentives which must be provided by the management to their subordinate, to their employees for the better growth. Second is non-financial incentive. When we say non-financial, that means it is not at all measured in the form of money. It can be in the form of appreciation, okay. Some verbal communication, verbal appreciation can be there, but there is no role of money here. So main emphasis or importance is to provide physiological and emotional satisfaction. That means those people, those employees must be provided must fulfill their physiological needs, or emotional needs or emotional satisfaction must be provided to them, not measured in terms of money. It can be in the form of status, that is providing them better status in the firm. Organizational climate, that is working condition must be appropriate for the employees. Career advancement opportunities, that means they must be provided some opportunities so that they can increase or so they can increase or better their future prospects, okay, by providing them training time to time, okay. Then job enrichment, employees recognition programs, that means every time such kind of programs must be held so that the employees hard work, employees creativity must be paid off in the form of some certificates or something like that. Appreciation must be given, provided to them. Job security must be given, employees participation, employees empowerment. So all such things conclude that these are non-financial incentive which must be provided to the employees. Now next topic is communication. Okay, in directing only this particular topic is there. Now in communication, so far as barriers to formal and informal communication, this time CBSE has eliminated that particular portion. But still formal and informal communication, just the concept which is there. So we will go through and we will study that. It is transfer of information from the sender to the receiver with the information being understood by the receiver. That means this is communication. Now what is communication? When one person is passing the information and other is receiving the information, understanding, that is communication, okay. So communication plays key role in the success of a manager. That means for the success of management, for the success of manager, Okay, so communication is a great appeal or is a great importance. Directing abilities of manager mainly depend upon his communication skill. That means the function that is directing, a function of management, which can be better understood or which can be done well while communicating, by communication between managers and their subordinates. If good communication is there, better understanding is there, then directing process is fulfilled automatically. That is why organization always emphasize or give importance on improving communication skills of managers as well as employees. That means it is on the part of both. Managers and employees both must have better communication skills. Then only they can understand each other and can do the work according to the needs of the organization and can achieve their aim. Communication is important for the directing function because all other elements of directing become possible only with the help of better communication skill and adequate communication. Proper communication must be there, then only organizational goals can be easily achieved. Now, communications takes place within an organization may be broadly classified into two, that is formal and informal communication. Formal communication means something related to firm, something related to activities which are operation or functions which are done in the on the job only. When we say off the job, it can be informal way of dealing or informal communication. Okay, now talking about formal communication is official communication following the chain of command. That means this is formal, as I said. Formal means something which is official, related to work only. Official communication, it is concerned with all official matters, may be in written form. That means this communication can be in the form of draft or letter. So it can be in written form, it can be in oral form, but generally recorded and filed. That is, all this formal communication must be recorded somewhere and must be filed and well written. Directions vertical, that is, the direction of formal communication is always vertical, that is downward, superior to subordinates, that is from superior top level to lower level or supervisory level. That means this communication is falling downward in vertical, sending notices, passing guidelines, informations, instructions, asking them to complete the assigned work. So this communication flows vertically from upward to downward, from top level to lower level. This is formal communication. Upward subordinates to superior, application for leave, submission of reports. When it goes upward, it can be in the form of that subordinate or an employee wants to have a CL or casual leave, okay, any application which he wanted to send to their top level management. So it can be in the form of that upward only. Horizontal, between department about schedule of product delivery, product design, etc. It can be horizontally only. Horizontal also, that is from one department to another department, and it can be about the schedule, the product delivery, product design, etc. It can be the matter when it goes to horizontal communication. Popular communication networks are single chain, wheel, circular, free flow and invented. So these are some of the kind or types of communication in formal communication. Now there are informal communication also, that means which is not something related to work. It can be fulfilling their physiological needs, psychological needs. So it takes place outside the official boundary or official channels, may be work related or other matters. That means it can be related to work or it can be not related to work, arise out of social interaction. When we say social interaction, means it can be fulfilling the emotional, psychological needs of the employees if they are facing certain problems or difficulties. So it can be in the form of grapevine. Origin and direction of flow is not easily located. That means where this communication start and where it ends, it is not actually directed. Cut across scalar chain of command, which we did in the first chapter. Now scalar chain of command means a hierarchy command which flows from top level to lower level. So this informal communication never is in the form of scalar chain of command. Spread of rumors possible as it is not easy to fix responsibilities. That means it is not according to the responsibilities or orders which they need to follow. There can be types, that is single, strand, gossiping, probability network. So these are some of the kind of informal communication which is there. Now difference between formal and informal communication on the basis of some base of difference. Now meaning is follows the official chain of command, that is formal communication always follows the official chain of command which flows from top level to lower level, that is supervisory level. It can be in the form of giving orders, instructions, informations, assigning certain tasks, whereas informal communication between individuals and groups, okay, and it is never related to official matter. Then second is channel, through a definite path, that is formal communication always flow through a definite specific path, whereas informal communication there is no definite path. Now speed, slow, that is formal communication usually is very slow because all information has to pass through an established data standard or any kind of draft or in the form of letter, whereas when we say informal communication, it is very fast. It can be in the form of gossipings, okay, in clusters or in groups, wherever all employees get connected. So this kind of communication, that is informal communication, it is very fast, cuts across all the official channels, all the official boundaries. Now nature, more rigid and cannot be modified, that is formal communication is very rigid, specific, it is very clear and it cannot be modified or it cannot be changed every time, whereas when we say informal communication, it is very flexible, okay, it has more chances of changes, varies from individual to individual. That means if they are talking about somebody or making gossips, so it can from one person to another person or from one channel to another person, when it passes it may have increased its size. So it is flexible and varies from individual to individual, that is informal communication. Then in formal communication, if we talk about expression, it is mostly expressed in written form, that is all formal communications, sometimes it is verbal but mostly it is in the written form. It can be in the form of passing or giving the letters, draft, official instructions, information, everything is in the form of written form and it is recorded and filed properly. Whereas when we say informal communication, it is not in the written form, it is mostly tends to be verbal or oral only. So this is all about today's video. Thank you students, and we will meet again in the next video with the next chapter. Thank you.